This podcast is being brought to you in part by the veteran-founded Hero Soap Company located in Phoenix, Arizona. In today's environment, we must be aware of the products we apply to our skin. As a two-time cancer survivor, I cannot afford to take chances, and I use these products myself. The soaps will leave you feeling clean and refreshed. All the products made by the Hero Soap Company are made in the United States with the highest quality ingredients sourced from companies in the United States whenever possible. The products are made in small batches to ensure high quality and contain premium essential oils and fragrance. All Hero soaps are created without synthetic colorants, parabens, and sulfates that are irritating to the eyes, skin, mouth, and lungs, and are cruelty-free, meaning these products are not tested on animals. Each 5-ounce bar of soap is handmade in Phoenix, Arizona, and the body wash is available in 8 ounces with such refreshing scents as the woods, tea tree, lavender, the fields, bourbon, lime, the pines, and Arctic. You will absolutely love this soap. Please also check out their gear for sale. All the products are reasonably priced. Being veteran-founded, the company understands the dedication and sacrifice that each family makes to serve their country. A portion of sales is donated back to charities that are focused on helping veterans and our first responders. Over 1,200 bars have been sent to our deployed troops. Please check out their website, herosoapcompany.com, for pricing and a detailed description of all the products. When ordering, use the code RAP for a 10% discount. The company information will be listed in the podcast notes and featured on the podcast website, Facebook group, page, and the podcast Instagram. Welcome, everyone. It's a Wrap with Rap. I am your host, Ron Rappaport. Before we start, I would like to thank all our listeners, supporters, and sponsors that have helped to make this podcast so successful. The podcast is being heard in all 50 states, all provinces of Canada, and over 60 countries around the world. The podcast has been ranked by FeedSpot as one of the top 35 overcoming adversity podcasts on the web from thousands in that category, and is ranked by Traffic, social media followers, and content freshness. Please visit the podcast website. It's a wrapwithrap.com for all the episodes and other information regarding the podcast, and to order our logo merchandise, of which a portion of sales is donated to various charities, and to sign up for our newsletter by entering your email address under the contact tab. This podcast features people who have overcome life's challenges and adversity, people who can inspire, motivate, and educate us on an assortment of topics. My guest today is Greg Carpenter. Greg is the founder and president of Blue Sky CBD, located in Colorado. He has created a company that formulates world-class products for healthier communities. He has created dozens of partnerships with wellness organizations and medical professionals, including the Colorado Naturopathic Doctors Association, physicians, chiropractors, and physical therapists. Greg works directly with Blue Sky CBD customers and has hundreds of testimonials from Blue Sky CBD clients regarding their stories and how the product has improved the quality of their lives. Greg is here along with Dr. Eric Dorninger. We'll call him Dr. D, as he likes to be called, a naturopathic doctor who is the director of research and development for the company to educate us about the subject of CBD. Welcome, Greg and Eric, to the podcast.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So I want to thank you both for coming on, and I want to start with the basics. Tell our audience, what is CBD?
Greg, you want that one?
Go for it, D.
So CBD is known as cannabidiol. And when you grow a hemp plant, there's hundreds of phytocannabinoids, phyto meaning plant cannabinoids. And one of those is cannabidiol. our body makes self-made cannabinoids known as endogenous cannabinoids, and CBD is an isolate from the hemp plant that really helps the neuroendocrine immune, or the relationship between your brain, your endocrine gland, which is any gland that manufactures a hormone, testes, ovaries, thyroid, adrenal, pituitary, and your immune system stay in balance. And your endogenous cannabinoids, your own self-made cannabinoids, help increase stress tolerance, so you can manage stress, reduce pain, allows your endocrine glands to talk and communicate well with each other. But you can deplete those through inflammation, through fatigue, through sleep debt, concussion, all kinds of reasons. And cannabidiol helps recycle our endogenous cannabinoids, as well as act as a productivity uplifting anti-inflammatory through enhancement of our neurotransmitters: serotonin for enthusiasm, dopamine for ambition and drive, feelings of self-worth, hopefulness, ability to finish tasks, and GABA A, which is feeling cool, calm, and collected. So it's really a neuroendocrine immune modulator, or body balancer, that also supports the body's self-made cannabinoid system.
Okay, how do you source cannabis?
Greg, that's all you.
Yeah. We have essentially 4 different farms that we work with. The one thing we don't do is grow the hemp. And so we use 2 farms in Colorado and 2 farms in Oregon, which gives us a very unique opportunity, one, from a business perspective, to not have to deal with the ups and downs of being the actual farmer. And it also allows us to look at the health of the different plants and of what we call biomass to source it, which we then bring into our labs and go through the manufacturing process to get down to the isolated molecules, and then obviously the oils, gels, and topicals that are available.
All right, now you're talking about isolates. Tell our audience, what is a CBD isolate and how is it different from broad and full spectrum?
Yeah, I think I'll take this one. So an isolate just means when you're extracting one phytocannabinoid from the hemp. And we really love CBD isolate because that's where all the peer-reviewed publications are. That's where all the data is on conditions like anxiety, acne, dementia, MS, Parkinson's. We were talking earlier about skin rash, schizophrenia. They all study cannabidiol. There's a cannabidiol and phytocannabinoid researcher named Ethan Rousseau that in one abstract of one medical paper postulated that you may need multiple phytocannabinoids to create what's known as the entourage effect. There's no proof in that. There's no publications on conditions for full spectrum hemp. But there may be a place out there for hemp. As a doctor who treats chronic and mystery illness, I get a little nervous about using full spectrum because there's so many different ingredients in a hemp plant that you can spin and swing an immune system the wrong way. And there also still is 0.3% THC or less in USDA 2018 Farm Bill of what qualifies as hemp. Some of our patients can get stoned or a little high off 0.3% THC, and THC is contraindicated for conditions like anxiety, bipolar, and schizophrenia. So if you have a family line with those conditions, we say, hey, stay away from the THC and the cannabis and maybe even the full spectrum hemp. Cannabidiol isolate actually is a treatment for anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, et cetera. So the way I think about it is cannabidiol is a pure isolate that is well studied in immune modulating, immune balancing, whereas full spectrum hemp has some anti-inflammatory properties, but it also has some terpenes that can be a little sedating.
Okay, very good. So the broad spectrum just has a whole bunch of other stuff in it. In other words,
Well,
to
and
make it simple.
from my perspective, the oversimplification of it is we as you know work in isolate based formulas. So in our original formula, there's only CBD and MCT oil. In our max relief, there's CBD and CBG. And then in our sleep formula, we use CBD and CBN. A full spectrum product, as Dee was alluding to, is essentially all the entire plant in an oil. And then a broad spectrum is just the THC removed from that full spectrum product. So there's a large swing of really the difference of what they are at a molecular level.
Got it.
And I'll echo one other thing on a clinical level, as in healthcare practice, we see mystery illness and chronic illness patients. So they've been all over the country, they've been all over the globe looking for answers for their healthcare, and they have very complex immune systems. They are often not in immune suppression, but in immune confusion. Their immune system is out of control. Not one person on this planet has died of COVID, and that's not me wearing my conspiracy hat. That's a bugger of a virus. It is our own self-made nonsensical cytokine storms to the virus that burn down our lungs through a molecule known as TGF-beta-1 that clot blood, throw pulmonary embolisms, neuroinflame the brain, and leave you depressed and anxious. So I get nervous about even applying a multi-ingredient herbal product with that style of patient. And I want nutraceuticals that can really immune modulate and balance out that immune confused patient. And the things that are in that category of what's called T regulatory cells, or really enhancing the immune cells that regulate the body's immune system, and brings an eczema calm, takes an asthmatic calm, takes a inflammatory depression down, takes a Crohn's calming down, are fish oil, fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K2, probiotics, short chain fatty acids, glutathione, and cannabidiol. They're very immune neutral. So whatever way your seesaw of your disorganized, immune confused body is going, they bring you back to the center. Versus something like echinacea can be potent for enhancing your cytotoxic T cells, but you can flare joint pain in a rheumatoid arthritis patient with echinacea. Whereas something like cannabidiol will bring that immune system into a calm, balanced place. And so when you're dealing with plants that have many ingredients, you can swing an immune confused patient in the wrong direction sometimes.
I think you kind of answered my next question. My next question was, what is the difference between your CBD formulas, for example, your CBD, and then your CBD plus CBG and CBD plus CBN formulas?
Well, I want Greg to expand on that a little bit.
Okay.
He was really the mastermind of enhancing them, and I'll bat second on some of the reasons I love them as a clinician, because they do 99% help, and then 1% they're not working. Once in a while, they're not going to work for somebody. But unlike echinacea or a full spectrum hemp, where I've had a lot of varied experiences from inflamed patients.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking you this is because you were kind enough to send me some samples, and I, being a lay person in this, as our audience would be, they're seeing CBD and they're seeing CBN and CBG, and they're kind of wondering what is this? What's going on?
Yeah, well, really good question. I feel like, without trying to get too far off into the weeds, it's nice to take a step back and recognize we're still a relatively small family-run business. And the reason why I think that's important is when we are working with new formulas, new products to roll out, we have a very tight-knit group of not only family and friends, but also our customer base, where we can go to them and say, hey, we've seen some research that makes it seem like we should be using some CBG in our formula for our more severe cases, and we'd like you to try it. So my point being, when you go back, we originally, when the company started, we only had a CBD product. We had a CBD oil that was 3,000 milligrams in an ounce, and we had a deep relief balm that was 1,000 milligrams of CBD in a 2.2 ounce balm. As we see more feedback, data, research that speaks to CBG potentially being a stronger anti-inflammatory, it made sense to start working with those formulas. So where our original formula is 3,000 milligrams of CBD in 1 ounce, our max relief formula is 3,400 milligrams of CBD plus 1,700 milligrams of CBG, right? We wanted to, we really started with the 2-to-1 ratio pretty much right out of the gate. So we take that formula to our rheumatoid arthritis people, the people battling Parkinson's, peripheral neuropathy, and we go to them and we say, we want you to try these products. We believe that essentially, even if it were all the same molecule, the max relief formula is over 65% stronger than our original formula. So the question we simply ask is, we go, if you're dealing with pain, what do you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? And if it's a 7 or higher, we will shift towards the max relief formula. We immediately got significant feedback, particularly in the Parkinson's community, that said that had been getting tremendous feedback just from our original CBD formula. And they're saying, it's working faster for me, it's longer lasting, and with no desire to go back. So that the max relief has become one of our best selling products. We have, it's not uncommon for people to be looking for CBD products that are dealing with pain and inflammation. And in that space, for an extra $40, they're going, I want the strongest formula you've got. The next step was to bring CBN into play. And CBN started to gain a reputation as the one minor cannabinoid that was really associated as a sedative. And so again, the same thing. I mean, we literally started making this formula, handing it out to family and friends. The sleep formula is actually to me, one of my, I don't know if funny is the right word, but one of the more interesting paths to get to a product ready formula, because we had it too strong CBD. And so what was happening was the CBN was helping people get to sleep. But then we were getting this feedback loop of, I'm waking up at 2:00 in the morning and I'm wide awake, ready to roll. And as Dee will talk to you a lot about, I mean, CBD is an uplifting productivity molecule. So it took us over a year to get to what is actually a very simple equation of a 1-to-1 CBD to CBN molecule. And so now what our goal is we want the CBD to help reduce inflammation, which is also a significant part of insomnia and trouble sleeping when you're dealing with inflammation. Sure. And the CBN to put you into a deeper, more restorative sleep. So it's important, we don't want to make claims, but we want to, you can go to the website to see the reviews. Our surveys on the sleep formula are remarkable. I mean, we see most people will get an extra hour of deep sleep, and the percentage of time that they spend in REM will jump between 30 and 50%. And what that means is a deeper, more restorative sleep without waking up feeling groggy, something that would be associated with a melatonin or a Xanax. And the only other thing that I will notate in this space, as your listeners are looking for different products and are exposed to different formulas that do contain CBN, the concentration of CBN in the hemp plant means that to get that molecule to isolate is approximately 7 times more expensive to isolate than CBD. And why I say that is, we're never going to be the cheapest product on the planet. We're going to be of significant value when comparing combinations. But what we're seeing a lot of today is that the CBN is being used a little bit as a marketing tool. Hey, our product has CBN in it. And when you start to get into the actual milligrams associated with what you're taking, you start to see the Blue Sky product with a 25 milligram dose of CBN in our gels. And that there's a correlation there between dosage and quality of sleep. So you may have some people going, oh, I tried some CBN and it didn't really work. Well, if you're only taking 1 milligram of CBN, then it's like licking an Advil, hoping that it helps with your headache.
Got it. Got it. So
There,
in other words, you're getting feedback from the patients, from the clients. They're giving you do they
yeah,
call you with
Every
questions?
day.
Do they call you with
Every,
questions?
yeah,
every day. I mean,
yeah.
we do, sorry, D, we do surveys within our direct to consumer channels. We have people in our office discussing it with us. We have people on the phone calling to ask questions. I mean, that's a big part of the role we play in the industry is people don't really have many options to call a business and get real feedback
Right.
about CBD, right? It's they go into a store and they go, hey, try this gummy, as
Yeah.
opposed to, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Which product line do you recommend and what dosage do you think is the baseline that we should start with?
Right. Right.
So
So
there's
that's
there's
great.
a lot I'd like to add to that conversation,
Yeah.
and some of it is inside Blue Sky gossip. And one of the things is Greg Carpenter started this company. He's our founder, and he answers the phone all day long from doctors who are opening wholesale accounts and from patients all over the globe. And we tell him all the time, like, dude, we need like a receptionist to answer the phone. He is so passionate about health and wellness and helping grandma with her arthritis or a CrossFitter who's going to the CrossFit Games and really is in flirtation with overtraining, that he literally handles all these phone calls, and that's his greatest joy. Every business needs to make money, but Greg Carpenter's love language is hearing cool stuff happen for people's lives with the Blue Sky line. My love language is improved clinical outcomes. So when Greg says we're getting feedback, there is also some objective data. Sometimes we'll get 10 Whoop rings or 10 people with their Aura rings, and we'll see that's when he's quoting these stats on improved REM sleep. We're talking about people using their sleep trackers and what we're seeing pre and post CBD, CBN in our sleep formula. Why do we have an uplifting productivity molecule, CBD, in our sleep formula? Why don't we just do CBN? Well, CBD is technically sleep neutral in the peer-reviewed literature. And what we realized is it has benefits for sleep because it's an anti-inflammatory. So when I worked at Fraser Meadows Retirement Community for 10 years, every Tuesday for 10 years, it's a Cadillac facility here with independent living, transition and assisted living, and then memory care if you need it. What was their favorite drug of choice to sleep? Tylenol PM and Advil PM. Why? Because if you dampen inflammatory cytokines at the end of a long inflammatory day, your pro-opiomelanocortin pathway works better, and that's the pathway that sets up the pineal gland to release melatonin. So Advil PM and Tylenol PM work like a charm for helping sleep by dampening inflammatory cytokines, but it's not if but when they ruin your liver, your kidneys, and intestinal lining. So they can't be a long-term. I would put ibuprofen and acetaminophen, Tylenol, and Advil in the water if they didn't come with destroying your kidneys, liver, and intestinal lining. And everyone knows that you can get an ulcer, you can get kidney failure, you can get, and so it's not about never use Advil or Tylenol, but if you're using it every night, if you're the weekend warrior who's using 1,200 milligrams to the run, if you're the headache patient that's using Advil all the time, or the woman who suffers from extreme painful periods and she's using a bottle of Advil for 5 days every month, you're going to get damage to those organs.
Sure.
So one of the things we love about the Blue Sky line is it can really help offer an alternative that really works for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory overusers and abusers. And
Yes, absolutely.
and the scale that Greg uses for a 7, we're going right to the max relief, is something you should start straight out of the gate. And I'm sure you know this, Ron, but you're supposed to stay in front of the pain if you have something like migraine headaches or rheumatoid arthritis, et cetera. So we'll do something with a RA patient where they might do 1 drop of max relief which is about 75 to 90 milligrams of original CBD and about 45 milligrams of the CBG, the Rolls Royce of the phytocannabinoids. It's the most expensive to make is the CBG. But then if they get an active headache, I'll tell a patient, take 2-3 dropperfuls to cut that headache off at the pass. It's all cytokine storms, and you're getting, again, that balance modulated immune system with our formulas. I want to add one other condition here to our formula distinctions. Original cannabidiol is the best published for mood disorders. So if you're dealing with anxiety, or you're going to try cannabidiol for bipolar, or really high dose it for schizophrenia, which the schizophrenics should be working with professionals who work with CBD and schizophrenia. But just take anxiety. The original is where you start, and that's because all the published literature is on the original. What I love about our Max Relief is it's the same formula as the original, plus a one variable change, CBG. So if the original is not working for you, you're going to take the same amount of CBD, and the only thing you change is the CBG. And it's a really nice way to do clean data for what works, what's your formula. And on the website, we have all these quizzes where clients and customers can take the quiz to say, here's the products and the ideas we recommend for you. So I love how plug and play this product is for doctors as well to work with it. And the reason I took the job of research and development for Blue Sky CBD is because we make third-party tested for purity and potency. That means in the supplement industry, we are 10% above or below the milligram. So if you say 30 milligram, you can be 27 to 33 milligram. Anything else and you're full of dog do. We are a 0 THC formula. Some people get anxiety off THC. Some people, even on a full hemp extract, can get a little high. And then we have our federal workers. I want police to be able to use cannabidiol. I want government workers who are overwhelmed during a COVID year to be able to use it. Number 3, it's the best milligram per cost per milligram. So what Greg's saying is you can see a $3,000, a 3 milligram bottle of full spectrum hemp for like $56, and our 3,000 milligram retails for $125, and your listeners can get a discount code for that. But there's only 300 milligrams of CBD in that $56 bottle of 3,000 milligrams of full spectrum. Ours has 10 times the cannabidiol in there, so it should technically be $560, but it's $125. So Greg is talking about the per milligram price, and we're proud of that, because even though things can add up, if someone has raging MS and they need 300 milligrams of Max Relief to fall asleep and not have muscle spasticity, per milligram, you can't get it cheaper. And then we also offer our education. And that's where Greg parrots a lot of the stuff I've studied on the anxiety webinar, on the sleep webinar, and the pain webinar. But Greg is also just great through observation on what's working for the public and our customer base.
Excellent. Explain the legality issue of CBD in the United States for our audience. I know there's people, casually know about CBD and they're going, I don't know, is this legal and blah blah blah. So can you address that?
Do you want to take a stab at that, Greg, or you want me to jump on that?
I feel like you say it a little bit more eloquently than I do, but for 99% of the population, there's no issues with a CBD isolate based formula based on the 2018 Farm Bill. So where there is, part of that is having 0 THC in any of our products. Internationally, there are still places where it's not legal. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah. So in 2018, in bipartisan agreement, woo, can I get a hallelujah? We can actually agree on something. They passed the 2018 Hemp Farm Bill. And this is when they decriminalized hemp and cannabidiol. It's ridiculous, but hemp was on a DEA regulated list with crystal meth and cocaine. right? So the 2018 Farm Bill said it's legal to farm hemp, to use it in products, and so on and so forth. That is a federal law. They were going to refine that law, and then COVID hit. So it was one of the Republican governors out of Republican representatives out of.
Let me take a very brief moment out to alert all our patients and caregivers out there that Rare Patient Voice, a supporter of the podcast, is paying for your input. Patients 16 years and older and caregivers, family and friends of any disability, disorder, syndrome, illness, or condition have the opportunity to express their opinions through surveys and interviews to improve medical products and services. Who knows your journey better than you? Rare Patient Voice puts you in touch with researchers who are developing products and services that can help you and others with your condition. These researchers need input of patients to develop products and services that have significant impact on patients' lives. Over the past 9 years, Rare Patient Voice has paid patients over $10 million. When you join Rare Patient Voice, you may be invited to participate in interviews, surveys, or online communities where you will share your insights. Rare Patient Voice usually has hundreds of studies running at any time, so there are many opportunities to participate. You will earn $120 per hour for participating in these studies. By making your voice heard, you are a catalyst for change. Rest assured your input will be used to help other patients like you. There is no cost at all to you, the participant. You can get more information and sign up by clicking the link in the sponsor's notes.
Kentucky, I'm forgetting his name, but one of the reasons he really wanted hemp bill to pass is it's a poor state that needed farm and ag to have hemp as income. And he also saw all the wonderful products you can make off hemp. And he was a big advocate to get the Republicans and Dems together. That being said, that's a federal law, and you still have state to state legality rules, just like some states you can smoke and buy cannabis recreationally, some for the intoxicating THC cannabis. Some states you need a medical card to do that. And as I read through the states that have rules on no CBD, Idaho is illegal in every form. Iowa is illegal in every form, and then South Dakota has a little bit of limitations. So if we do CBD in an Idaho patient, they need to get a medical prescription from a medical doctor to do CBD. So most, literally 94% of the states said we're just going to follow this federal 2018 Farm Bill. But as a state, as you know, you can have your own rules on anything counterculture to federal. Same way that, Colorado, recreational psilocybin and recreational cannabis. So for pure CBD, now again, this is kind of silly because CBD is not intoxicating. Right. But it is psychoactive. And I hate when people say CBD is not psychoactive. And I say, what do you mean? It enhances the 5-HT1 receptor. That's serotonin binding for enthusiasm. It enhances the dopamine 2 receptor, which is dopamine for ambition and drive, feelings of self-worth, hopefulness, the ability to finish tasks, courage and decisiveness. And it enhances GABA A for feeling cool, calm, and collected, the GABA pathway. So of course it's psychoactive. It's not intoxicating. You just feel like it's an uplifting productivity molecule. So I do about 150 milligrams of the Blue Sky Original, the pure CBD, every morning. It dials me in for doing things like charting when I'm not in the mood for. If it's been a rough day where people you're expecting to get better are not getting better, it keeps you staying focused and grinding a little bit harder, increases my stress tolerance to then go home and do dishes, cook dinner, watch my son's basketball game, maybe even get in my own workout. So it's an uplifting productivity molecule that's a wonderful anti-inflammatory that can get people even off addiction. So when on YouTube, I gave a talk to the Colorado Association of Naturopathic Doctors, and if you do CBD 101 Dorninger, you'll see that talk. And I go through. I almost gave myself hemorrhoids by writing that talk, because for 90 hours I went through PubMed, through all the scientific peer-reviewed published literature on what is cannabidiol, what is hemp, and where is the real mustard on medical science, and it was all on cannabidiol. And I reference every single paper in that talk, including how cannabidiol can help quitting cigarettes, alcohol addiction, and so on and so forth. And while everyone started drinking more booze during the pandemic, I actually drank less, and I was taking 150 milligrams twice a day because it was stressful. I was reading 2 to 3 medical papers on COVID and what's the right decision for my patients, to vax, to not vax, vitamin D. This person's okay to vax. This person has to sit on the sideline. They've had weird immunoreactivity to prior, everything in between, right? About middle of COVID, Brazil does a study on frontline healthcare workers. I mean, hardcore ICU on the front lines of COVID, medical doctors and nurses. And they randomize these 2 groups, and they give both groups therapy and an exercise DVD. Both got therapy and exercise DVD. But then one group, they counted off 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, got 300 milligrams of pure cannabidiol isolate. And they had a statistically significant reduction in fatigue, anxiety, depression, emotional exhaustion, and burnout. And I said, oh, I've been doing 300 milligrams the whole COVID. No wonder I'm having fun, not burning out. I'm going to work excited. I've been training my whole life to help my patients thread this needle of weird immunoreactivity and everything in between. But now that staying up extra late to get those extra 2 medical papers in is gone, I'm back to 150 milligrams, and I have more time to work out, which also enhances my endogenous cannabinoids. So I use healthy diet, healthy fats, moderate exercise, and about 150 milligrams of original to live my hardcore professional lifestyle.
I got a question for you, Dr. D. We have a lot of cancer patients in the group. A lot of people we have chronic pain patients in our group listening to this podcast. Drug interactions.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I'm a cancer patient. I'm on a bunch of different drugs. I'm on one drug in particular, kind of a new one. Talk about drug interactions with CBD.
Yeah, so it's an excellent question that I was going to bring up anyway, because especially in our 55 and older demographic, and I'm flirting with those years, you're going to see there still is some leftover Coumadin, warfarin, and heparin. Those were the original blood thinners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are interesting medications because they rob Peter to pay Paul. They help prevent a clot today to cause calcified plaque or hardening of the arteries, atherosclerosis tomorrow. And anyone knows that because those drugs block vitamin K2. So I tell everyone who's on long-standing Coumadin, heparin, warfarin, get a calcium score, which is a heart scan. Make sure you don't have heart disease. If you do, work with someone who knows what they're doing to track that. But there's one case study in the literature where those medicines take the same clearance pathway as CBD. So in theory, you can add cannabidiol to Coumadin, heparin, warfarin, and back up the clearance of those medicines so that the same dose becomes more potent, and you could bleed out, right? Now that is super theoretical. There's one case study where all you would do is reduce the Coumadin, heparin, or warfarin while you're adding the CBD, and you can track that. Anyone who's on Coumadin, heparin, warfarin is tracking that with INR, which is an international ratio for how quickly your blood clots.
Right.
And most of the people who need blood thinning and anticoagulation are now on Pradaxa, Eliquis, and Xarelto, and those are the new generation of blood thinners that don't interact the way Coumadin, heparin, and warfarin did. That's the big interaction that we need people to be mindful of. In regards to cancers, I'm waiting for someone to put real money behind cannabidiol and see if it has benefit to commingle with chemotherapy, to commingle with radiation, to commingle with immunotherapies and post-op. What we know, and this is in that CBD 101 Dorninger, if you just put that on YouTube, you'll see the talk I gave to the Colorado Association of Naturopathic Doctors. I put in a couple studies on breast cancer cell lines do get interrupted by cannabidiol. Prostate cancer cell lines do get interrupted by cannabidiol. And it's a well-done cell line study that makes you get excited for CBD as breast cancer and prostate cancer potential prevention, but we don't know. So what we do use cannabidiol all the time for is people are through treatment, they're feeling a little flat, they're feeling a little depressed, it's their first bump into really processing their mortality, or they're in a lot of pain, or they haven't exercised in a while and they're like, I have to get back to the gym, but that first day just kind of crushes them. They're a little excited, but then they're sucking their thumb on the couch and need a 2-hour nap the next day. That's where the original and the max relief come in. And then a good burst of melatonin and improved sleep, we know, are very important for breast cancer prevention. So as a naturopath, you'll see studies where people suggest 10 to 20 milligrams of melatonin prophylactically if you have major breast cancer history in your family. 10 to 20 milligrams of melatonin if you're in active treatment or post-treatment. So what I say is anything that's going to help restorative sleep and bursts of melatonin are going to help all cause cancer potential, but we don't have any specific studies with dosing or cannabidiol on prevention. It's all cell lines. Exciting, but not worked out yet.
Okay.
I would say too.
Oh, we do. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
I mean, we have, and I'm hesitant. We have a lot of firsthand case studies is not the right word. We have a lot of firsthand interaction with cancer patients that the feedback that we've gotten, it would lead us to suggest our max relief formula from a pain perspective of going through it. It is the feedback that we've seen would make it worth something to try in regards to controlling pain.
There's a couple heroic stories, but there's one we have to tell, because I feel super safe about this recommendation. But we had one patient who had stage 4 metastasis of the bone. He is 100% terminal. There is nothing that they can do for him from conventional oncologist or an integrated oncologist. We can do palliative care, but he's on his way out. And he's in riveting bone pain. And opioids are not working. And I might tear up a little bit, but Greg Carpenter, our owner and co-founder, drives this guy free pain sticks, and he starts applying the max relief balm on his bone pain. And it's the first time he starts getting decent night's sleep. Radical reduction in his bone pain. So then we add the max relief orally, takes it even further. And he's no longer with us, but we did a story with the local news, and he shared his story on he outlasted his prognosis for how long he should be here. And just as importantly, he did it with dignity, less pain, and not rolling around moaning with freaking metastasis to the bone.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome. That's why I get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, what prompted you to get into the CBD industry?
Ooh, good question. I often say that the path was already written, and everything that we do with Blue Sky feels very serendipitous to me. It was, I got a text message one morning at 6:30 in the morning from a friend that was before I was in CBD. I got a text from a friend who said, "Hey, we're trying to source CBD for a skincare line." And she said, I know you know a lot of people in Colorado, so you might be able to help. And literally later that day, I had another friend make an introduction, and we started basically supplying my friend Katie with CBD for this multinational company. And in that capacity, literally just started researching it. I'm like, well, I'm involved in this business equation, but what really am I involved in? What is going on? Like, what is this molecule? You grow up in Colorado, you get some exposure to how, a little hit of marijuana might help you feel better when you feel like crap or when you're sick. So, I've always had this awareness of the medicinal properties of the cannabis plant. So this path in working with this started literally reading all the published data, and I started reading CBD may help with addiction, and have a really good friend that's battling addiction to opiates. So I go, hey, Tom, let me send this to you. And he comes back and he's like, I can't tell you how much it's helping me, that it helps with pain. So friend's mother-in-law, I'm like, hey, try these gels that we're making. And she comes back and she goes, I'll like literally, I'll take 10 bottles. And I'm like, well, tell me more. And she goes, I have had foot pain when I get home from work every day forever. And this stuff is helping so much. I'm like, okay. I read that it helps with blood pressure. So I give some to my dad, and my mom's a nurse. So they're monitoring it. They're going, it's helping with blood pressure. And so we start literally getting these same thing, even just with CBD isolate. It may help you sleep. People that are using at my golf course, the gal is using Xanax every night. I go, hey, try some CBD. And she comes back and she goes, I slept amazing. And I'm like, literally, so did you just take a little bit of your Xanax? Like thinking there's no way I could be getting this feedback from someone that's been using Xanax for years and years and years, stops, and then CBD helps me. I didn't take any. So then the interesting thing is this goes back about 5 years ago. So at that same time, the articles that are coming out on CBD are, we tested 10 different products and 8 of them, 3 of them didn't have any CBD and 6 of them didn't have the amount of CBD that they show. Well, the irony in this is that I'm still essentially, I'm not employed. I'm literally still like brokering these massive shipments of CBD isolate for skincare products. So at that same time, the company that a lifelong friend works with calls me back and says, Greg, that shipment that you sent us is about a third light. We're testing it here in Florida. And so, I mean, I feel like I'm a little bit out on left field, but this is very much the genesis of our company. I personally ended up having to cover the cost for the discrepancy in the amount of CBD that was being shipped, which back it was a larger sum than I would care to speak to. But essentially, I started dealing with the same thing that the media was seeing, is that all of these products out there are not as they are labeled as. And as I don't know, as a genuine human being and relatively successful business person, I'm going, why is anyone doing this? Why, when you're seeing such great feedback from good products, why would you try to gyp the customer out of a couple bucks? So I literally started bringing some close friends together, those close friends and business acquaintances, and said, hey, I'm seeing this opportunity to just bring something to the market that's guaranteed to be what it says it is.
Yeah.
That's how the relationship started with Dr. Dorninger. We went to him and we said, hey, we're seeing all of these promising opportunities with CBD to help create healthier communities. We want to build a business that ensures the customer is getting exactly what they pay for and able to then dose properly and accurately accordingly to what they're dealing with. And D, we want you to be behind it, and we want you to lead the research, and we want to be able to educate. And that, now 5 years later, we're supplying healthcare professionals literally all across the country with our formulas. We have, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of verified reviews on the website, countless testimonials from docs and PTs and chiropractors. And for me, it didn't take long to realize that this was going to be my life's work. I was never prepared to have the conversations with customers and patients who were in the final stages of their life, but it has been rewarding beyond belief. I'm still usually every 30 to 60 days, we use an app on the website that is where all the reviews are housed. So I go into an app as opposed to like the website, but just to read the reviews. And I it never ceases to amaze me that people go out of their way to leave these reviews, but they're a lot of times, incredible. When we can help people deal with pain, get better sleep, deal with their anxiety, it's powerful. So we're not going anywhere.
Right. And when people go out of their way to leave reviews like that, it's the real deal. They're not making it up. They're very grateful, I'm sure.
Well, in addition to that, it's interesting as a relatively small company, we have used those reviews to actually further the communication with our consumer base in two ways. We've had a lot of them reach out to us and say, this has changed my life. I want to tell the story. How can I help spread this word? And then a lot of the times we come, we're a partner with the Parkinson's Association of the Rockies. And so as we get more people that are dealing with it and are helping it, and is helping manage tremors, inflammation, seizures, etc., we reach out to them and say, hey, do you mind if we email our customer base with your story? And it's rewarding when they want to, it's an extra layer of feeling rewarded when they want that. Hey, however you can amplify my story, do it. People need to know about this.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I know we're running a little short on time, but I just want to get a few more questions in. Real quick, can people on a keto diet use your products?
Absolutely. Yeah. And cannabidiol is fat soluble, and then it's an MCT oil, which doesn't even need a gallbladder to break down. It crosses right across the gut wall. You can also do the drops right under your tongue if you want.
Okay. And athletes, you have the Blue Sky Pro formula. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Go ahead, D.
Well, yeah, it's just for pro athletes. I practice in Boulder County. Solanda triathlete. It is like you're watching your kids' weekend tournament after you ran 7 miles and then did a CrossFit workout. People here are nutty, and they don't realize that, and it fuels their spirit. But overtraining is inflammatory, and we run a heart scan on every single male 40 or older that comes into our clinic. Any female 50 or older that comes to our clinic. Heart attack and stroke is still the number one cause of death in the United States of America. And for 50% of our people, the first sign of heart disease is a fatal heart attack. Cholesterol is a horrible predictor for who's going to heart attack and stroke. You need a heart scan. And we get these triathletes who are like, oh, I don't need a heart scan. I work out all the time. And they get in the scanner and they're riddled with atherosclerosis, calcified plaque in the arteries, hardening of the arteries. And cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. Inflammation does. So cholesterol is just a powder keg that bounces up and down the artery wall until it has matches. That could be from a tooth abscess or sleep apnea or concussion or post-op surgery or eating Krispy Kremes and Kentucky Fried Chicken all day and having low fish oil and low vitamin D. But it can also be from overtraining. So we came up with the Pro to be 50% CBG, 50% CBD from working with our athletes who really push it. Whether it's the weekend warrior or it's that person who's like right below, they're like, one of my besties is going to the nationals in pickleball for 50 and older. He's got a CBD Max Relief in his pickleball bag, and he's going to take some of the Max Relief in between tournament days because he needs to perform. And if inflammatory cytokines go wild, you're going to feel achy, breaky, and slow off the ball the next day. So So the Pro is for people who are really pushing the envelope, and
Okay.
and too much training also will leave the end of your day with inflammatory cytokines, and then you don't sleep well. And if you don't sleep well, you don't release restorative growth hormones and melatonin to bathe and wash the body and get you ready for tomorrow's tournament. So the
Yep.
Pro is just meant to really pump it up.
Okay. And
Also, just as a quick add-on with that too, um, our our slogan, if you will, for the Pro is peak performance and advanced recovery. We get a lot of feedback, when we talk about feeling the GABA A and feeling more cool, calm, and collected. A lot of our people like that on the golf course. The gymnast that is a little bit too much in his or her head coming into competition, to feel a little more focused, deal with their performance anxiety a little bit more, and then post workout to help reduce inflammation.
Dr. D, can you tell us some of the research projects you're working on and any other role you serve at Blue Sky?
Yeah, so one research project is actually happening at one of our docs that found Blue Sky, and it's nocturia, getting up all night to pee. And he's a urologist and having incredible results on decreasing urinary frequency. And man, you want to stoke someone out, have them go from peeing 3-4 times a night down to 0 to 1 time a night, and they become a better, nicer, less agitated, less grumpy, happy, joyous person. So what he's doing is he's actually doing a questionnaire pre and post, original and pre and post max relief. We're also going to be doing some a deeper dive on Whoop and Aura Ring for the CBD CBM product, the Blue Sky Sleep. And then our clinic is going to start working on the original and the Blue Sky Max Relief for an illness called CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And that's where patients can get sick off of water damage building molds, water damage building bacteria, Lyme ticks, recluse spider venom bites, COVID long hauling's a form of that, and cyanobacteria algae blooms. Swimming and recreating in scummy ponds with the wrong genetics can drive neuroinflammatory diseases. So we're going to be looking at the original and then the max relief's ability to control and dampen the chronic inflammatory cytokine storms in those patients. So that's some of the good ones we got on board.
So I think we covered the subject pretty well, but did I leave out anything to ask either of you that you think is pertinent for our audience to hear?
The only thing I would say is between our discussions with you with the promo code to lessen the upfront cost to try the products.
Right.
And then I would also say we're blessed, one of D's quotes that we tend to use is how excited he gets about how quickly the products can work. There are a number of mental illnesses or really severe pain issues where it may take a few days to start to feel the results. But we feel very fortunate that with having world-class and highly potent products, that oftentimes the feedback, if it's going to work for you, it's often very quick. And so my point in saying that is we have samples on the website that are super affordable to try. You for $6, you can get a 4-pack of our sleep gels. So, for the next 4 nights, you get a pretty good sample size of what it feels like to get deeper, more restorative sleep. Same thing with the Max Relief Gels. If you're in pain and think that this might be something that you want to try, a very affordable option to try it. We know in today's world that whether it be $100 or $200, that money can be tight. And we want to let the formulas and the products speak for themselves and make it affordable to try them. So that would probably be the only thing that I would add is that if you're hearing this and it sounds like something that you're dealing with, check out the reviews on the website at bluesky-cbd.com. Be aware that the samples are available. And Ron, I hate to say this, I think I forgot we gave you a particular promo code to use, so I'll let you highlight that.
But yeah,
Um,
I was gonna mention that.
yeah, and feel free too. I mean, we feel free to call us, to your listeners if there are particular questions or questions on doses, call us, email us. I mean, we're here to provide the type of insight that makes it make sense to look to a CBD product for relief.
Right. And I just want to mention to the audience, you can go and, store, I don't want to say any store's name, but you can go in any CBD store and you're talking to probably a clerk, not very well trained. And the difference is with Blue Sky, you get on the phone and you can get some really decent information. And
Yep.
it's a whole different world.
I would add two things. And the first was, using nutraceuticals and natural medicine for 25 years and healthcare for 30. I started in hospice and on the ambulance. Nothing has worked quicker. Like turmeric's cool, resveratrol's cool. If I want to see results quick for mood and pain and inflammation, it's Blue Sky CBD. It's incredible. The other thing I want to add is my love language is clinical outcomes and seeing results for the patient. That's my love language. And my favorite part of this is as a doctor, I check my ego. We are an unemotional, apolitical, lean, mean, objective diagnosing machine clinic. It is our job to leave all our baggage at the door. And the funnest part is when you have some of the Ronnie and Nancy just say no leftovers and some of our more conservative Republicans with hypertension, the formula is working for them. Then we have a hippie who went to all 3 nights of the string cheese concerts at Red Rocks and her plantar fasciitis is acting up and she takes the max relief balm, rubs on the bottoms of her feet before she goes to bed and it's working for her. So Blue Sky really wants to see all of America get back in the game of feeling creative, feeling productive. And this is not an intoxicating molecule. It is a third-party tested formula. That means an independent company verifies purity and potency in the formula. It is 0 THC, so you don't have to worry about. I'm scared a little bit of because I like decriminalizing cannabis because I don't want to pay for someone's jail time, but I don't like weed personally. Cannabidiol is an uplifting productivity molecule, and that's my love language. I got a lot of things I want to do and conquer in this lifetime. And number 3 is cost per milligram. So the thing that happens from the clerk around more than anything is they're like, oh, we have this bottle for $54. And again, it's 3,000 milligrams of full spectrum hemp with 500 milligrams of pure cannabidiol. We're selling 3,000 milligrams of pure cannabidiol for $125. It would cost you 54 times 10, $540.
Right.
That level. So it's very similar shopping for EPA, DHA, the effective ingredients in fish oil versus them just saying 1,000 milligrams of fish oil. Well, the rest of the stuff in there is just fish fat. It's not doing the anti-inflammatory, heart disease, and dementia prevention stuff EPA,
Right.
DHA does. So helping your listeners shop for products you want, third-party purity and potency, 0 THC for a lot of people because they don't like even risking getting a little stoned, or maybe they can't for work or whatever the deal is. And THC is contraindicated for anxiety families, bipolar families, schizophrenic families, and then cost per milligram. The last tidbit I do want to say for your legalize it cannabis states, those people where, Oregon or Colorado where they're smoking a little bit more weed, pure cannabidiol is the antidote for getting too high. So if your teenager comes home and they tried pot for the first time and the walls are melting, cannabidiol kicks excessive THC off the CB1 receptor and will bring that person down. So it's really like when I say it's psychoactive, it's an uplifting productivity molecule, but it doesn't make you stony. It makes you lock in. But it also can be used once in a while if someone, a friend who doesn't smoke pot hangs out with their buddies at Red Rocks and they're losing their face and you got a bottle of Blue Sky Original on you, you can save the day and bring them back down to earth. So
And your products, there's no chance of failing a drug test because there's no THC in
And
them.
I'm glad you brought that. So we are final batch tested, 0 THC.
Right.
Final batch tested, 0 THC. But some lab testing looks for cannabinoids. They don't break out THC. Greg, do you want to say more to that?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. We have a Kaiser essentially here will when they do tests will test for cannabidiol. Well, if you use our products, you will in fact test positive for CBD, right? So it's not that there is no chance of failing a drug test for THC, but we have had some people come back and go, hey, they're saying I tested positive for marijuana. And we're like, that's not possible. And then they'll send us the test and they'll be testing for cannabidiol. And so we say, yes, you are in fact using cannabidiol, but you're not using, if you're a trucker or a pilot or a garbage man or a construction worker, you will not test positive for THC, which is what your employers are concerned about.
And there's a lot to say about Kaiser. It's a mixed bag, but it's managed care. So you're going to try and control costs, and you're doing a generic strain for cannabinoids, and cannabidiol is a cannabinoid. A true drug test should be looking at tetrahydrocannabinol or
Right.
THC. So
Right.
Yep.
The one that gets you high. For those wishing to purchase Blue Sky CBD, there is a link in the podcast notes that will take you to the website and will give you 20% off your first order. So that will be in the podcast notes. I want to thank you so much, Greg and Dr. D, for coming on the podcast, and I wish you both great success going forward.
Thanks for having us. Really our pleasure.
Thank you.
It was great having you. Comments and suggestions for the podcast, you can email me at itsarapwithrap@gmail.com. Our website is itsarapwithrap.com. Our Facebook group is It's a Rap with Rap. A couple thousand people in there, and it's growing nicely. Instagram, It's a Rap with Rap podcast. We are on Twitter. Again, that's growing very rapidly at Rapper, WRAPPER 130. And all the episodes are on our YouTube channel. It's a Rap with Rap, the podcast uncut. Thanks everyone for listening. I want everyone to please stay safe. And for now, it's a wrap.